What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Thursday afternoon show presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. The iCasino and Sportsbook app is getting a remake. When you download the app shortly, it'll be brand new features. They've listened to some concerns, and it should be humming along. I've used it for a long time. I like using it, but some people wanted some upgrades, and they have listened. And so shortly we're going to have a brand new Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. In the meantime, you can always go down to Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook at Firekeepers Casino off I-94 in Battle Creek and enjoy the in-house experience and just a great place. Like, you don't need to go to Vegas. It's easier, it's closer, and it's an awesome place to play the machines, to sit at a sportsbook. Jason and I have loved our times there. Jason, how you doing, brother?
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Riding right up into my rectum, and it was painful.
What's up, buddy? That's true. Nobody needs Vegas anymore. You don't need Vegas.
Who needs Vegas?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, as long as you have the gambling apps, nice weather like we have today. Screw Vegas.
Yeah.
It's overpriced and boring.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, hey, man.
How you doing?
I don't know. 2 shows in a row? What is this shit?
It feels like the old days, like 2018 when we were doing.
Is this our last show? Are we going off until mid-July, or are we doing a Monday? I guess I should have asked this before, but
we're off till mid-July, July 14th.
So this is the last show.
All right. Let's hope it goes well.
Yeah, or it can be an abomination. Either way, send you off proper.
Yeah. Are you having any issues with your internet? We'll start there.
I don't think so.
Bad. Okay. None of my stuff's working, so I just wanted to make sure we were.
We have viewers. No one's told us anything's going on with the YouTube. I feel good over on this side. I don't know.
All right.
My phone was a little slow, but I figured that was the Pornhub.
Yeah, well,
something jumping in the. I mean, this phone is like a iPhone 13. I need to upgrade, but I'm trying to sit there and hold out because it's paid off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to get me into a phone. They're trying to slow my shit down. So I figured maybe that's what it was. But I have excellent connection over here.
Okay, I don't. So I was trying to get into my bets for what we're betting this week, presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook, and now it seems to be coming.
Oh my God! You mean we won't get your soccer bets before the July break? Oh, Jesus!
I was so close. I gave out this bet a while ago. I loved Monterey as a group stage winner in the Club World Cup, and had River Plate not gotten a red card in another game, and that game remained a tie with Inter Milan, I would have hit that at at plus 1750. I mean, it was, it was
Hot Plate. Well, who is that?
River Plate.
River Plate.
Yeah.
That's the name of a team.
You got to know your South American soccer teams, Jason. That's where.
My bad.
That's where
things slipping.
That's where things are. I'm getting my connection back here. Are you betting anything this weekend before we get to
I've already bet with Harry yesterday, and he gave out Minwoo Lee for the Rocket Classic, who was leading at 9-under after the first round for Minwoo, that is. A lot of other guys still playing. Going to the Rocket Mortgage tomorrow. I have my bets placed.
Okay.
I might, if I see something live, that's the ultimate live bet, right? If you're at the event live. Not sure if I'm going to yell anything out or anything, like Couch in the Rube or anything, but,
There's no streaming delay. Yeah. No, it's...
something might jump out at me. I don't know, it's on ESPN Plus, so I don't know if anybody will see it on there, but if we were on, the CBS coverage, possibly doing something like that instead of, getting the whole guy or something.
If you could loudly be chocolate milk guy so we could see it on the coverage.
Chocolate milk? But Daly would have to be, involved somehow. No one,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a nuisance.
I think this is going to be a good show. There are a lot of good questions. We're going to get into Jase Richardson getting drafted to the Orlando Magic, some good MSU basketball, MSU football recruiting, some fun stuff life-wise and MSU beat-wise and blue wall-wise, the usual good stuff.
The blue wall.
The only thing that I am probably betting this weekend is I'm going to wait for the Wimbledon draw, and I'll probably get some futures bets for the next 2 weeks. And if I like anything a lot, I'll put it out on the Couch in the Rube.
You're not going, right?
I'm not going to Wimbledon. I've done that. It's really cool.
Didn't you go? Was it last year or 2 years?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's.
I was jealous.
I am telling you, it's a bucket list thing worth doing. It really is, because it's not even that expensive just to go. Especially if you go the first week during the week, it's like
this guy.
No. I mean, it's expensive to get to England. It's expensive to do London.
Oh.
But you can buy like a 27-pound, whatever the exchange rate is. It's not going to be more than $35 for to get you in on the grounds all day, and you can see a lot of the matches for no additional cost. And you just have to line up in this queue, and it takes a while to get in. But once you're in, it's very hard to get tickets to events. But
you
once
just have
you're
to sell a kidney to get there, and then as soon as you get there, it's
not
20
so bad.
pounds.
Yes, right.
And you have to do the conversion rate.
Right.
Yeah, Couch makes it sound so easy.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is what we're betting, presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, which is under construction right now and coming back brand new soon. And so as we get into betting football and all these things later this summer and into the fall, the Firekeepers iCasino will be there for you.
I'm impressed with them doing that, to shut down your app and redoing it, because I have to say, some of the casino games on some of these apps are embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right? And they should be shutting down their operations too and putting out good games. I mean, I can't believe they take money from people in some of these games, like DraftKings, and some of their casino games are absurd.
It takes a level of humility and customer service, being driven by customer service to do something like that.
It's what we do here. It's like if people don't like a certain thing, a majority of the people, I mean, Couch likes to, if it's just one person, Couch listens to, I need like 5 or 10 people to say, hey, this little thing you guys do is ass, and we try to correct that way.
So if you don't like something about the show, just create 5 burner accounts, and Jason will be like, "Oh my God, we gotta change this." All you need from me is one, and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
If you're that dedicated to where you have to create 5 burners to just get a point across,
yeah. Well, no, we try to listen. I mean, So,
but I'm just saying, one person can be like, "Oh yeah, Couch's golf bet, or Rube's golf bets are ass." It's like, okay, that's one person. Everybody's gonna hate something.
All right. Well, are we ready to dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter and social media questions?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Dominic up first. Who is the gassiest guy on the MSU beat, Couch? And if you decline to answer, it's you.
Yeah. I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
Let's just get that out of the way. He's a 1 seed, right?
Well, they always say if you don't smell it, it's you. And I am always impressed that.
But is that fair, though? Because then I'm trying to blame. I'm sniffing extra heavy because I don't want to be the guy.
No, and I have a sensitive smell, sensitive to smell.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like on airplanes, I complain about this all the time. I don't think that fiber should be served in airports because it just.
But what are you supposed to do if you got to blow some heat on an airplane, though?
Don't you
get up to go to the bathroom? Like, it's impossible.
People should prepare 24 hours in advance for flights based on their diet. Like I have a lot of diet discipline issues in life, but that is one I could follow. If you are going to get on a plane, do not eat fiber. Eat less. Keep your calories under control.
Can you believe this show? Couch is giving you, they're scolding the people here about what to put in your body. I mean, like we talked about it last week. You've never run to the bathroom, like number 2, number 1, to have to run to the bathroom. You can sit on a plane, not have to blow heat at all. I mean, like, what's going on? What are you consuming that is making sure you're all regular? I try to stay regular too with probiotics and other things. I don't enjoy doing that. But I've been on a plane where I'm like, oh, hey,
you just got to skip the Cracklin' Oat brand for a day or two. That's all. That's all.
That's it.
That's it.
You will never fart on a plane ever.
Don't have an apple. I mean, apples are great for you normally. A little too full of fiber. Avoid apples. But
an apple fart won't be as bad as like a Mickey D's fart. If someone eats Mickey D's beforehand,
there are always 1 or 2 near me, which means there's a lot going on that are just.
I think I'd rather have an apple fart. It's someone just hammered an apple and blows a little heat. Like, there's no way that would stink.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there where we sat on it a little bit. We've all been there, but you got to respect your.
It's tough.
People around you.
I would definitely, but if it's got to go, it's got to go.
Well, so to the question, what I'm saying is I've always appreciated that it is a clean smelling, there's not a lot of sneezing and coughing around and not a lot of farting on the beat. And people are probably guessing I'm just going to say like Chris Solari here is the guy who, and I'm not saying there haven't been a couple.
Graham.
I'm not saying there haven't been a couple moments in like 10 years being next to him that I've gone, I think Solari farted. But that's most people.
Right, but you guys travel with each other.
Yeah.
Like when I used to drive Tim Stout to the airport because he would pay me $60 and pay me $30 each way, so that I would have to come back and get him for that $30. It was always absurd. But one time, and he would bring his whole family, and he would drive on the way there, and I would ride shotgun, and he would make his family sit in the back. I know, it was, dude. But they all agreed as a family that I would sit, like, shotgun. So you don't gunshot. Shotgun. And anyway, so one time we did it. Stout like lifts his cheek and blows a little heat. And I was like, did anybody else hear that? But then he didn't roll the window down. It was like in the winter time.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it stunk something fierce. And his wife yelled in the back. It was a wild scene. I'm like, what has my life become? This is wild, dude. Tim Stout is blue heat and didn't even you got to crack. I don't care what temperature it is. You got to crack a window a little bit.
That is
so since you wouldn't answer the question, I'm going to tell a farting story about one of these local celebrities here.
That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company with all sorts of fantastic diet options, comfort foods, lighter foods, great salads for the summer, burgers. I mean, I love what their chef does there. I love their drink selection. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, great place to go. Like Lansing is buzzing right now, legislature's in, all that stuff. You need to get away for a while. You're in downtown Lansing, Midtown Brewing Company. Date on the weekend, Midtown Brewing Company. Just a great place to be.
Next one from Dominic Graham. You said the Celtics aren't competing next year. Motherfucker. You know I listen to the show, right? It's funny when Jason rips the Bears. But you, sir, do not get to slander my teams. You hearing me, Yancey?
Little Yancey Thigpen reference there.
Is there a lot of guys named Yancey?
I don't even know how Dominic became a Celtics fan. I need to. Is this some Phil Friend situation where it's Bears, Celtics? I mean, Phil Friend is Commanders.
Wow.
He's Commanders.
He's mad at
Sox,
you. He's mad at you
Tottenham.
for slandering his Celtics team, and then now he's got to explain.
Now
it.
I'm questioning his fandom altogether. They aren't going to. You don't want them to be too competitive next year. It's a great draft, and a year, and they're going to come back 2 years from now with, with two of the guys who are one of the best pairs in the NBA. Most people would still love to be the Celtics over just about any other team. Maybe Oklahoma City, the only team. Like, if you have to sort of sit it out a year, I think that's fine. If you're the Celtics, you want to be as bad as possible next year.
Dominic Graham, can you fit me in for a tennis match between one of your 58 furlough days this summer?
Absolutely. Well, that's what the furlough days are for, Dominic. I mean, I want to make sure we have time to play, and we'll definitely get one in if you're going to be around these next couple weeks.
Dominic, if Elizabeth's political ideologies shifted tomorrow and she became full-blown MAGA, would your marriage survive? Would Tyrone Couch still happen?
I don't know. I have a couple uncles who are cousins or cousins-in-laws who are lean that way, and maybe
are they invited to the house?
Yeah, they're great people. I enjoy them. We just don't talk politics.
Oh,
so
they're not like true MAGA then.
Well, yeah, they don't throw it. I guess if she was like wearing the hat down to breakfast and talking like Marjorie Taylor Greene to me every day, I'd be like, oh my God.
Wearing makeup like Bobert.
Dude, that would be trouble. So I guess if it was full blown, it would be disappointing because I love her, but I don't think it would survive.
Dominic, would Blue Cross waive my copay at therapy if they knew I dated the bastard daughter of Melanie Griffith from Milk Money?
They might. You should ask. Just like that.
And if you've never seen Milk Money, Melanie Griffith was a whore.
Yes.
Right. In case you don't get the bit, I guess. Baby Meebe, what do you think Jeremy Fears feels about his younger brother being drafted ahead of him?
So Jeremiah Fears goes number 7, and Jeremy Fears was there. You could see him on the TV broadcast, I'm sure he's really happy for his brother. I'm sure there are parts of him that think about that day that he was shot all the time because it changed his trajectory as an athlete. And, I went down to see Jeremy Fears play in a game against Xavier Booker when they were seniors in high school down in St. Louis. And Jeremiah Fears was on that same Joliet West team with Jeremy, and he was a sophomore, and Jeremy was definitely the alpha of that. You could not picture sophomore Jeremiah Fears in the NBA draft a couple years later. That was not something I could picture, and he was sort of shepherding him along. But I'm not what I would like. Jeremy Fears is not the biggest guy anyway. I think his brother may now be an inch taller than him. But I do wonder, and I think he probably wonders to this day, because the way he played to the game before he got shot. If that trajectory happens that year, I don't think he was not going to be a one-and-done player. I didn't even know if he would have been a two-and-done player, but it would have been different. And what he probably doesn't know is if he'll ever get back to being the peak of himself physically, and so that's got to be tough. What he's got to do, what Jeremy Fears has to do now, is try to be the very best college player can do, get himself as good as he can be. And if he is a great point guard at the college level who leads a team places, those guys tend to get drafted. Those guys tend to elevate. The NBA mostly cares about potential. But you look, I mean, the kid from Florida last night is a really good player, was completely, I don't say completely off draft boards, but like a late second rounder, leads Florida to a national championship, right? He goes 18. Mateen Cleaves was not like built for the NBA necessarily, and that was a different era, went 14. Denzel Valentine had he was taller and he was a different type of player, but he went 14 as well. Like, if you lead teams, and I know they didn't go far in the NCAA tournament that his senior year, but he was viewed as a great, great college player. If you can become a great, great college player, the NBA will give you a good look.
Do you think the Fears shooter was watching last night?
I'm not.
Do we know the Fears shooter at all? Have we known anything more about this?
I don't. No, I don't. He might have. I don't know if he's an NBA fan.
Maybe. Why does Columbus suck so much? Nature or nurture?
See, I actually like Columbus. I think
more than Cleveland.
Well, I like Cleveland too. I like a lot of places, but if you told me you've got to spend a week in one of the two places covering an event, like an NCAA tournament, because I've done NCAA tournaments in both, I would probably choose Columbus. Yeah, I think it's a good place.
Safe travels back, Michelle. David Jackson. Okay, so how good of a fit is Richardson in Orlando? What kind of role can he expect?
Speaking of Columbus, David Jackson lives in Columbus.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Way to dox him.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's Columbus, it's a big place. Well. Yeah. I didn't put a picture of his house on the. I think it's a great fit, and I wrote about this today. It's one of the three teams that I wrote about ahead of time that would be a great fit for him, and I was a little nervous for him because of some of the pick swaps and all this stuff. Like, if he went past 25, like the Nets had the next two picks, and they picked like 12 point guards. You don't want to be part of that cesspool wasteland. Like, and I'm not saying you can't have a good career if you go there, but what he really wanted was not that. Like, he really wanted to be in a place where they were winning, where he could develop, where the culture was good, and that was more important than how high he got drafted. That was one of the reasons I thought he was not going to come back. The idea that if you come back and you have a big year, you go in the top 10. I mean, next year is supposed to be a really good draft anyway, but even if that were to happen, I don't know that was a priority for him. And so Orlando was one of those places. Like, they just traded for Desmond Bane. They still don't have Anthony Black's serviceable. They don't have a great point guard. They were the worst three-point shooting team in the NBA last year. Like, they traded one of the guys who was a spark plug off the bench in the backcourt in the Desmond Bane trade. Like, there's an opening for him. There's an opportunity there. I don't know how early he'll play, if he'll play a lot right away. I think he'll figure it out, though. I'd be surprised if he's not in the rotation at some point in his rookie year. And they really wanted him, and I just think it was a great fit for him. It might mean you play a little less if you're on a winning team early, but I think being around that culture and a team that's going to be making deep playoff runs for the next few years is a better place to be.
Next one from David Graham says, quote, individual football commitments mean nothing. Collectively, though, they mean everything, end quote. So therefore, I ask, what does this very large influx of verbal commitments mean to Spartan football?
Well, it's not nothing. I think it's been a really good month, and the number of offensive linemen, some higher end recruits that had offers from other places, and the most important thing about June recruits, while individually, again, I think it's all. It's not that you don't want to take a kid at his word, because there are probably some kids in this group that, and probably everyone at the moment they commit, are thinking they're committing. Well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are. The problem is, in this day and age, you get to a season, momentum's change, offers change from other schools, their ideas change, they're going into their senior year of high school, lots of things change, so it's just not worth that much, and we see that. But the thing about June commitments that is good is these are guys at this stage that are identified by the program and are wanted. You're not trying to fill out a class late because you missed out a bunch of guys. Guys who you offer and get commitments from in June are guys that you identified as guys you think you can help your program. So whatever you think about stars and other things like that, and some of that stuff is relevant, sometimes not as much, but if you believe in a coaching staff, the guys they're getting in June are guys they are identifying and is guys who can help them. So I think that is important.
Next one from David. When are you going to talk to JJ, Jason Batt? J or J, what the fuck? And demand answers to whether or not we're going to play the 2 scheduled games with CMU. Also, how does the Rube feel about knowing Batt hates the name Jason so much that he refuses to use it? So that's why you had all the J's in there. I don't blame him. I think J Batt, I mean, if you're going to be one of those guys, the general manager, if you will, you need to be one of those mover shaker guys. Jason Batt, that doesn't sound right. If I was taking that job, I'd be J Batt, J Nick.
Yeah.
J Nick, it sounds great. I like that too. I'll change it like J Batt did. I don't mind it. I don't blame him.
To the first part of the question, the first time that there's like and I don't know that I'll sit down with him one-on-one before there's like a group sit down with them. That's sometimes what they do with a new. They did it with Adam Nightingale right away. They've done that with other. I think they did that with Alan Haller, and Hallish used to do that from time to time. And so if we get a group of us and we get like an hour to ask a bunch of questions, that will definitely come up. It's not like he answered some questions, and I thought Solari did a nice job with the story on just about football recruiting and everything. He was at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and that's probably not the place. When you got him for like a minute or two, you're going to say, hey, what about CMU? But when you can get him in a conversation, that's definitely a topic that's on my list. It is not one I will forget. It's one I will get answered for you. And maybe somebody else will even ask it. It does not seem like anybody else on the beat has any interest in this story, because I don't know that, other than me asking Hal or other things, anybody's done anything else with it. But
what if he was at the Rocket Classic, you're having a couple Mick Ultras, like so CMU?
Well, if I was sitting next to him.
Let's talk about
CMU.
Yeah.
No, if you're sitting with him in that,
you might have angst against CMU. J Batt.
You're going to be there, and if he's there,
I'll be there tomorrow.
What if you're both there? You could ask.
I will not say a word.
Okay.
Because they can only go one way. We know about that. Chris Eastlick, following up on Graham's Marquette weather troubles, what source are you using for your forecast? Be careful with apps. They're entirely automated with no human correction to any errors they may have. They're notoriously bad at scattered rain in the summer, and Marquette is in a location that could make things even worse.
Yeah, I think that's it. Marquette it's surrounded by Lake Superior. I think it's tough coming off the lake to predict the weather, especially way out.
So the apps are ass? What am I supposed to use?
You go to the website and you do the hourly. You go to like weather.com or something.
I've got to go to the www.
Yeah, and use it on your phone. Yeah, that's what I do. And you get
What is this? It's 2025.
You get very different updates.
When is AI going to have this figured out?
Well, like
let's do AI
tonight. I'm worrying about softball, and I actually could use it to be canceled because we're down a bunch of people. But so I keep checking. I'm actually hoping it gets canceled. It would help me be at the Moneyball Pro-Am longer. So, but as I look at it now, I go to and I reached out to Chris earlier for a little.
Why didn't you go to the weather.com?
Because
why are you bothering Eastlick? He's probably he's working. He has a child. I mean,
I appreciate at some
softball
point.
Game, dude?
Look, I appreciate Chris Eastlick. And by the way, if you have a Chris Eastlick in your life, somebody you appreciate like Chris Eastlick, Groovy Donuts are here for you. And it's a great way to tell somebody you appreciate them all year round. Go to groovydonuts.com to place an order. You can just swing on by both locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, and also in Williamson, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. The donuts of the week for this month, they still got some great stuff. The maple bourbon bacon fritter, which is absolutely amazing. Cookies and cream as well. Just terrific options, and a lot of, everything they've got there is tremendous. The earlier you get there in the morning, the more they have. And as I always say, get a box to take home and a bag for yourself that no one knows ever existed. It's the best way to do Groovy Donuts.
Next one from Isla. Graham, you've told us that Izzo will let you know when he's pissed at you. Did you ever piss off Mark D'Antonio?
100%. And that was part of the issue with D'Antonio and my relationship for a while, and I think with other writers, is D'Antonio, Izzo blows a gasket right away.
Don't coach my team.
I have picked up the phone. I would say, I don't want to say it's that high, but 20% of my conversations with Tom Izzo begin on the other end with him saying "fuck you."
Right now, either you're stuttering or I'm not picking it up because it's a whoa.
And it's personal in one sense because he's saying "f you," but but also
must be nice.
It's not really. You know it because you're going to talk it out. He's just frustrated. He is blowing steam, and sometimes it's not even about you. Most of the time he hasn't read my column that he's angry about. Somebody just tipped him onto something, and become my new rule with him when we talk. He's Tom, you have to actually read the column.
Fuck you.
But yeah, that's exactly. But he's great. The next day, there's no animosity. Like I appreciate covering him for that. You know where you stand. Nothing festers, right? With Mark D'Antonio, even in like the heyday of their winning, he would get really, and it would just fester. He didn't. I thought one of his mistakes that he could have done better, and he did well once they started losing, and when they had that 3-9 year, was he didn't foster a lot of relationships and a lot of extra phone calls with people on the beat. And that stuff really helps you. It helps you when you start to lose. It helps you explain stuff when people are writing stuff you don't like. It just helps you. And, I would hear secondarily he was upset, or I would hear him. I remember writing a column at one point. I wrote that Le'Veon Bell, this is early on, of course, when I'd been here, that Le'Veon Bell had to go to the NFL draft because his last regular season game had been at Minnesota. And somebody asked Mark D'Antonio, what would you say to Le'Veon Bell to get him to come back? And his answer was, I'll give you the ball another 300 times. And I was like, Jesus, that's not a good answer. That's 300 carries off your NFL career. And so I wrote this column about why he really had to go. And I heard D'Antonio that night frustrated with it on the Mark D'Antonio radio show. Just, you could tell he was, verbatim saying things and so you just never heard from him, and stuff would fester occasionally. But later on in his career, he was much better with that, and certainly since he's been retired, I've enjoyed chatting with him. So, but yeah, you knew it. You kind of knew it. You knew the way he dealt with you in a public setting because he couldn't hide it there. But yeah, he didn't usually reach out to you the way Izzo does.
Gavin next. How much longer until Graham retires and returns to his true home to cover MAC football again in Kalamazoo?
I think we're more likely to go to Marquette, cover Northern Michigan. That's on the Mining Journal. I love Kalamazoo, always will, but I can't imagine actually covering mid-major football in the day and age of NIL and revenue sharing, because it used to be, there would be pros on those teams, and they would be there, and occasionally kids would transfer. I mean, you saw it with, Jaden Reed, who left Western Michigan after having a great freshman year and had to sit out back then. But there were lots of kids who didn't, and lots of pro. I mean, I covered a team with Greg Jennings and Tony Scheffler.
You did?
I did.
No way.
No, yeah, lived in Kalamazoo. And those guys were, seniors and fifth-year seniors, and I mean, they were, they were all second-round picks, and guys just understood they could get anywhere from anywhere. So you could cover a team that had like elite talent, and you weren't always wasn't just some feeder system. I think that would be not a lot of fun to cover, and so I can't imagine doing that these days.
Jebediah next. Since everyone filled their diaper over my last Jace question, I'll be nicer this time. Was Jace staying in the draft more of a Jaren Jackson Jr. scenario or a Max Christie scenario? Either way, the kid will be great.
So I think what he's saying here is, like, Max Christie just wanted to go pro, and Jaren Jackson had to be pushed out the door by Izzo. They're very different situations, right? I mean, and obviously one went like number 3 or 4 in the draft and the other in the early second round, and both have stuck, though. I mean, Max Christie's it's worked out. I think it's a little more of a combination of the two. Izzo did, from what I understand, tell him, you got to test the waters. You at least got to check this out. But I don't think. But this was not something he was pining to do. From the moment Max Christie arrived, he was a pro. He wanted to be a pro. He carried himself like it. And I think, the other thing is Max Christie played the year after COVID. It was still not full. It was still a weird year to cover him. He didn't get the usual. It was not the normal year. And I still wonder if he had, like, if Max Christie had been on the last MSU basketball team that we all just witnessed, where everybody seemed to have a great time. They won 30 games. I think he would have enjoyed it a lot more. Not saying he wouldn't have left, but I'm just saying it would have been a different experience. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. Jace Richardson had no problem returning. He came to Michigan State thinking he was doing 2 or 3 years. Didn't realize it was going to happen that quickly for him. So he was not somebody who was eager to get out. I think he just saw the opportunity, but he wasn't afraid of it. He grew up in that. His parents have been around it too. He's a pretty mature kid.
Ken Chu, how does Jace Richardson's draft result impact MSU's chances of landing Jace Richardson?
So his brother Jackson is, I know they've had interactions, and it's not like they're not recruiting him. For a long time, I thought that he was not interested in Michigan State and vice versa. But I don't know to what degree. I've just heard a little bit on this, and so please don't aggregate me on this or tweet out. Couch says they're going after Jackson Richardson, because the information I had is a little bit dated. But I think he liked the experience Jase had at Michigan State, and Jase had a really good one, and so I don't think that necessarily hurts. And I think
you heard it here first.
He likes Izzo. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing
Richardson,
that.
baby.
We will delete this show, or not delete the show, but we'll fix it. We'll actually fix it in freaking post. Yeah,
because of that.
Yeah.
Suburban Spartan Dad next. Classic summertime question, but with a twist. If you could add any Spartan basketball player from the Izzo era to this year's roster, who would it be? The caveat is they have to have been a role player and not a star. No all Big Ten team guys.
Okay, you can add any Spartan player from the Izzo era to this year's roster, this coming year's roster. A role player and not a star. So somebody who would,
McQuaid? Quado?
Yeah, senior Matt McQuaid wouldn't be bad.
How far can we go back? Like any
Izzo era guy. So you'd want somebody who could shoot, definitely, and you'd want a dynamic guard who wasn't an all Big Ten guy. Like would junior level Chris Hill qualify into that?
He wasn't a star.
I don't know. All Big Ten. I have to look at the all Big Ten list.
AJ Granger,
Allen Anderson. Yeah, but you have
a shooter.
Yeah, but Kohler is you're thinking is a modern day Granger is what they're hoping. I don't think. I think that's duplication. You don't need that.
Okay.
What you'd want is like some really good. The guy you'd actually want coming in for another year is sophomore Max Christie. That would do a lot of good.
Alex Mayer, how many guys on MSU's basketball team do you think shoot better than 30% from three next year?
Several, just based on I think Kurt Tang will. I don't know about Trey Ford. I mean, he did last year. He has for a while, and I think he will. I mean, over 30 is and they look they did struggle from three, a number of them, but I think Trey Fort will. I mean, Jeremy Fears shot over 30% last year, and I don't think he'll take a number that puts him below that. So I would guess he does. Kohler did, and by a ways, and my guess is he will. So and my guess is because guys who don't shoot above 30% for the most part, and you get anomalies of years where you get guys who really struggle for whatever reason, but shouldn't be taking that many. Like Cohen Carr, if he's below 30%, then he really shouldn't be taking them, right? And I think he'll be above 30% because I think he'll take mostly open threes, and so that's a pretty low bar. So 5 or 6 guys at least, I would say, and just because you shouldn't be shooting them if you're not hitting 30%.
Alex Mayer next. What's your most recent impulse purchase that was over $100?
What do you got?
Impulse. God, I don't know if it was over 100, but I started re-gripping my own golf clubs.
Okay.
Learning how to do that. And I had to get a vise, and you buy the grip. So it was around 70, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just something I really wanted to do. I have really been pulling back on just purchases. If it's over 100, I really just go, $60, $65. You go, okay, I could use that. So re-gripping my own clubs.
We got a volleyball net and a what's the sport with the little birdies?
Shuttlecocks? They're called shuttlecocks.
Oh, the shuttlecocks. Yeah, with the shuttlecocks. Yeah, whatever. Badminton. Thank you.
Yeah.
Badminton and volleyball.
I remember that because we played badminton in high school at gym class, and I just the teacher was like, "Hey, you just hit this shuttlecock," and then we all just lost. We laughed our ass off. But anyway,
we got it for the backyard. Partly because it was a fun thing to have. We also have a family friend who's like trying to make the her middle school volleyball team, and she, we just wanted to, when she comes over with her parents to hit around in the backyard. I'm good at volleyball, so I can help.
I know it's just so weird. Your whole neighborhood is such a weird dynamic.
Yeah, they don't even,
because I go home and I don't talk. I don't even know what some of my neighbors look like. I couldn't tell you. You put them in a lineup. You're just you're rooting for them and having the kid over, buying nets for them.
Yeah. That's what we do.
You're not gonna she's not gonna start living at your guy's house. You did it with a cat.
No, she has a family. No, well, I mean, we do travel with his family sometimes.
Jeez, here we go.
With the whole family, the dad, the mom.
You thought that was an easy no way, but here we go.
Well, we were just in Marquette with him, so we're it went with us.
You know, if you need a place to get away, doors open. What a life, bro. Lions reply guy, Jason, what is your game day routine when you go to a game? Do you tailgate or have a tailgating friend group? Do you go to games with the same crew every time or switch it up, etc.? Well, it's usually with my friend Jordan, Michigan fan Jordan, because has a great job where he gets tickets through his work, so we use those when we can. If not, then we buy them, but I still go with him. His father, Doug, who's awesome. I love Doug. He goes with us. Sometimes those are interchangeable, but usually it's around 4 dudes. Tailgate, I wouldn't mind it because I usually smoke a joint walking up to Ford Field, but usually everyone I go with is like about business, and we get in early, and the guys like getting there early, and we walk around and hang out and stuff. So I'm usually a guy that will just be down to do whatever. If you want to sit there and tailgate. Now, the Bears game we went to in Chicago, there's no way I was tailgating. It was freezing balls. We actually tried. We visited T's family, had a little tailgate out there, and I was like, dude, I just got nothing for you. I'm sorry. I don't remember the faces of her family. I see them like twice a year, and it was freezing ass. So, it has to be great weather conditions for me to tailgate, but I'm not above it. The Hondo Carpenter of Southern Maine next. Was T-Bone's dad Smurfette / Bonnie Blue comparison from the last show the best moment in the pod's history? I know I wasn't the only listener picturing poet Smurf working his blue mule in preparation for his turn. That's just disgusting.
Several people.
Blue mule. Wow.
Several people have opened up or have reached out about this, saying it was a really good moment.
What, about Smurf cock?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Multiple.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Speaks to our audience.
Jay Riemenschneider really does. Does each and every player on college football and men's basketball teams make the same amount of NIL money, or could there still be a few players who get nothing?
This is a good question because now it's not really NIL money. It's revenue sharing, right? So I would guess that everybody on the football team receives some small stipend. You want people to feel like, or everybody in scholarship, I would guess. But you do still have limited resources. So it's that is a good question. Certainly on the basketball team, every scholarship player is making good money. But I don't know that yet. And I'm curious. I think there are lots of good questions for Jonathan Smith, not just about this recruiting stretch he's been on, what it's been like to coach in this era, but I think there are questions about how you recruit with this money and decipher it, and what you promise to recruits and what you pay players. And it's not an infinite amount of money. It's a good amount of money, but it's not an infinite amount of money, and you got to kind of figure that out.
Next one from Jay. Who had the bigger career arc, Kobe or Tiger? Both being the best at their sport on their way to all-time greatness and loved by all, to their own transgressions and being shunned and despised by all. Then, by the time that they're done, they are once again everyone's darling.
So,
I don't think, when was Tiger despised by all? Like, even when he was going through all of his, like you mentioned, transgressions, everybody was pretty pro-Tiger.
I don't know if everybody was pro-Tiger, but but I do think this. I think, first of all, I think Tiger was at a different level even than Kobe. Like, Kobe was a big deal, and the way Kobe died, obviously, I think
that was brutal.
Raised his legend.
Every once in a while, I think about that. I'm like, damn, dude, Kobe's dead. And by the way, Tiger, to be honest, should be dead with that car crash that almost took his leg off, where he passed out behind the wheel. So
it's amazing. I remember the day Kobe died, Michigan State was at Minnesota, and I still remember like Cassius Winston being told on the court. They didn't tell him before the game because they didn't want. I mean, it was a big enough deal that they didn't want. They were worried it would like mess with their focus.
Mess with my head. I don't. You know.
Yeah. And so they told. I remember Cassius Winston finding out on the court after the game at Minnesota and what a big deal that was to everybody. Yeah, but so Tiger is the next level anyway because he's one of one in golf, whereas Kobe's one of the top players of a generation, one of the greats of all time, but he's not the same level. So
I just don't think Tiger. I think Tiger was always beloved, even when he was going through multiple waitresses and then having to do that press conference and with his mom there. It was like everything was wild. But I don't think anybody was off the Tiger Woods bandwagon, at least for me, my perspective. Kurt Wisniewski, Jimmy Kimmel has actors guest host his show as he takes the summer off. You and Jason deserve similar treatment. Who would you like to host your show and why? Well, first of all, this is Couch's 2-week thing. Like, I would come in and do a show. Like, do we have to do 3 shows a week during those 2 weeks? No, but I mean, so yeah, Couch is taking it off. I mean, you don't want people to do your show that's like, right? That come in and do it better.
You don't want to get Wally pipped. Yeah. No, I mean, it's.
You want people to like, oh, I miss those guys. So I guess we'd have to get Ebling and Human.
That's right.
If they did it.
And Stout.
Well, yeah, just Stout come in, blow some heat, shut the door on them.
Yeah. Ebling and Stout hate each other to the point that would be entertaining. I would have to.
Oh, right.
Yeah, if Ebling and Stout were in here doing a show together,
beef.
I would listen. I would 100% listen to that.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I forgot they have beef.
That'd be really good.
Dude, we need to squash the beef. Is it possible after all of these years?
I don't know. But
come on, you guys are 80.
So here's how you'd do it. You'd tell Ebling, hey, I want you to guest host with us.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he would just, yeah.
Well, you convince him to come in.
No red flags would go up.
No. We'd pay him or something. But you tell Stout, I want a guest host with us. We really like to have you. And you convince them both to come in, and they come in and the other one's here, and you're like, we're going to do this together. And then you make all the topics about their beef over all these years, and you just hash it out in front of everybody.
I think there's a better chance we find out who shot Fears than getting that together. That sounds almost impossible. Richard Kane, if Graham ever gets arrested, could it be anything other than a confrontation with someone placing their dog's poo bag in a random neighbor's trash can after the haul-away crew has emptied it?
I would say that's if you were doing betting odds,
right,
on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, that would lead.
Like, makes sense.
Yeah, right. That would drive me nuts. I would.
Sir, what are you doing? Lifting the trash can lid.
You hang on to that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Throw it at him. Richard Kane, if Aiden Childs makes the same kind of jump Kohler made last year, how many games do you guess MSU will win?
So it was a sizable jump. I mean, the real key for Childs is, like, if he does not, he just can't turn the ball over. He's got so many. You don't want to take the playmaker out of him. There will be interceptions that are out of trying to make plays, and that's okay. It's dumb interception that he's got to get rid of. And if turnovers don't become a big part of his DNA and a big problem for him, if he solves that, the playmaking stuff is there. And I think it hurt him last year as he was starting to consciously worry about the turnovers, and he stopped taking risk. And I think he's got to get to a place where he's just so comfortable that that's not an issue. And if you turn the ball over occasionally, there's nothing wrong with that. I've heard people talk about before, and I agree with this, that sometimes quarterbacks who never throw interceptions aren't taking any risk and aren't making any plays. You don't want those guys either. But it just can't be what it was a year ago. And he's, in terms of talent, like physical gifts, I mean, there aren't 5 guys in college football who are better pro prospects in that realm than he is. But if you don't solve the turnover thing or you can't win, the other thing for him is a quarterback at the college level who doesn't win to some degree. Some of those guys, they'll get a flyer on them in later rounds. But if you want to be a high draft pick, those are guys usually you have to at least lead your team to some level of winning.
And by the way, he was running for his life a lot last year
100%.
With that offensive line. And, you watching a football, a good interception from a bad one. And
first full year as a starter, I don't think there's anything wrong with this season. Where it becomes an issue is if there isn't growth, or if something that was, becomes just part of who he is. He's a turnover-prone quarterback and that sort of thing. Then that's problematic.
Yeah, the fumbles were kind of brutal. John Rhodes, can we get round 2 of Graham bench pressing? Can we get a new video of you trying to dunk?
So we did that in 2018, 19?
Yeah.
The bench pressing thing. I was lifting a lot back then because I did 225 12 times, what I said I could do, and we did it. You were there.
Short arms.
Video. Short arms helps, right?
And he practiced 2 months ahead of time.
Well, no, I was working out a lot. I don't work out that much anymore. So,
what?
I don't bench press much anymore. I need to get back to it. I don't know if I could do 20 push-ups right now on my fat ass in a row.
Still hammering that treadmill, though.
The treadmill, yeah, I'm trying to lose the weight.
Still flying out of there.
Yeah, the lube's still there. Trying to dunk. I'll do the dunk video for you next next season when we get an opportunity on a court somewhere. I don't have any shame in that. So that will be there. Bench pressing would take me recommitting to that sort of life.
Sparty Barb. Jase Richardson being drafted in the first round should open the door for MSU to obtain more NBA talent level recruits. MSU was one of the few schools with winning records represented in the first round of the draft. What do you think it will take to get MSU to the Duke recruiting level?
Well, in this day and age, it's money, and some of the numbers that are out there about Cooper Flagg and how much they paid him, I don't know if they're true. It seems ridiculous, but
what kind of numbers?
Like in the tens of millions. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, and because I just don't think it's necessary. Like,
would you believe 10 million? Not tens?
I guess I would. Yeah, because that's what you're seeing for like a quarterback at Michigan. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a truly, generational star in basketball at Duke. That sounds more feasible, I guess, to me.
And maybe this is why I don't have money, but like I feel like 10 million, I would pay 10 million to have a Cooper Flagg for 1 year.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be enough of value.
Well,
but I'm with you. If it's tens of millions, like, yeah, that's getting out of control. It doesn't make sense.
And some of the things with these guys who know they're going to be in the NBA in a year, in a year or so, it's like, Michigan State going after top hockey recruits, and NAL hasn't messed with hockey as much. But some of these kids who are like really generational prospects or know they know the money is in the NHL. They need to, they're not as worried about NIL yet. And I think even in basketball, I'm not saying you're not going to want to get paid like the other top kids, but if you're Cooper Flagg, you know where the money is. It's not like you need college to be your money. 30, I just can't imagine him going to the highest bidder like that. And to the question, though, does Jase Richardson being drafted, it doesn't hurt MSU. It always helps to have first-round picks with your name on it, and it had been a little while. I mean, Max Christie was the last guy drafted. I have that right. And, the last first-rounder was Jaren Jackson Jr. and Miles Bridges in 2018. So, it doesn't hurt. But it's such a transactional world for most of these guys, and you just got to pay them, and you got to recruit them. They have, I don't think MSU is, MSU at times throughout the Izzo tenure has gotten top guys, right? That's Miles Bridges. That's Jaren Jackson Jr. That's Zach Randolph. There have been a number of these stretches where they've landed those sort of players. So there might be another one of them in them, but it's just going to cost you now. And I don't think anything that's happened to MSU in the last few years is really going to prevent that if they have the money to pay these guys.
MZA, on a scale of from 1 to 10, how ass is Jack Flaherty?
What would you say?
Well, now that we know that that we're paying him $20 million now instead of $10 million because of his game starts thing, boosted him up to $20 million a year. I guess it would put him at about an 8. I mean, he didn't look absolutely horrible yesterday against the A's. We didn't give him any run support. Gave up 3 earned. I just seemed like, I don't know. He's just throwing beach balls.
Here's my take on Jack Flaherty. He's not been great. He's had some moments where you're like, oh, that looks like the guy that was really good last year.
When was that? I mean, it seems like it's forever ago.
Well, he's had a couple good starts this year is what I'm saying, where he was really – but the real question with him is by the time they get to the playoffs, will they use him?
Right.
And I don't know that they will. But the beauty of their situation, when you're basically 10 games up on the rest of the division and you're 20 games over 500 and you're going to be in the playoffs, you're going to win the division, is that you can afford to work through some things with him. If he needs to take a little time off, whatever. But, the ideal situation is, because Jack Flaherty's been a number of things in his career. He was crap with the Orioles a couple of years ago. He's been great at times. If you can get Jack Flaherty, whatever it takes to get him pitching well in September, then you've got a guy who's really, really useful in the playoffs. So to me, it's you've got you're not sitting there competing day in and day out trying to claw out a playoff spot. I would keep putting him out there unless he's hurt, or give him the time he needs off and hope. And if you get to September and he looks like this, then you come up with something else because you're not pitching. I would not pitch the guy that is pitching right now in the playoffs if I were him. I would not start him.
We need Javi to share some of his steroids with Flaherty.
There you
Come
go.
on. MZA, where would Jase Richardson have been drafted if he was 3 inches taller?
Earlier? Yeah, it would have been interesting. He would have been a bigger recruit too, but he would have gone. I don't know who he would have gone in front of, but he might have been a top 10, top 13 guy. I think the height did affect his status.
Christian, congrats to Jace on being a first-round NBA draft pick. Well-deserved, and we are going to miss him. He'll make about $7.1 million over his first 3 years in the NBA. Do you think he would have made more if he stayed at MSU for those 3 years?
I think he'll make more than that. I think he's making about $3 million a year, if I'm correct on that. But hold on. Give me some off.
Off.
Yeah.
Come on.
I am the passenger.
Absolutely. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates.
I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars come out of the sky.
Yeah, I think he'll make.
Yeah, the bright in the hollow sky. You know it looks so
I think he'll make like
good
$9 million.
tonight.
I think he'll make like $9 million his first. But anyway, the point being, you can make. They might have been able to pay him $3 million for a year, or who knows. But you know, the point for him was he wants to get to the second contract. And I remember I talked to his mother about this. I mean, she said, you know, that they weren't concerned, and they weren't sure he was going to go. They wanted to make sure he was ready. They wanted him to do what he wanted to do. They were going to talk about it afterwards at the time. And this was like in February at some point when it was first really becoming a thing that he was likely to be even a lottery pick potentially. But that she told me pretty bluntly that they were more worried about fit and place where he could be developed and work towards that second contract and be in a good culture and all that sort of stuff was much more important. You got to keep in mind, this kid comes from a dad who made like $150 million playing in the NBA. And he comes from means. He's a smart kid. He doesn't, it's not. And even if you are, even if they can match the money, which in some places in college they might be able to, maybe they could even go ahead for second-round picks, go with more money. But getting to your next contract where the real big money is, the generational money, you're just delaying that too. So for a lot of guys, it makes sense to stay in college. If college wants you more than the NBA, there's definitely more money in college, and you should probably stay. But with Jace Richardson, the NBA wanted him, and you saw that, and you saw that with the Magic being. I mean, the press conference the Orlando Magic gave, which I linked in the story I wrote. They wanted him, and so I don't know that he would have. It's possible he could have made dollar for dollar the same amount staying at MSU, but I don't think that would have served him well.
Spartan 18770. How did Jonathan Smith change his recruiting momentum in such a dramatic way? And from MZA, is it January, February, Izzo, April, May, Juneteenth now with how Coach Smith has been recruiting?
Not Juneteenth. It's Junathan is what they said.
Oh,
Junathan.
Looked like Juneteenth to me.
Yeah, well, that is a holiday.
June fan?
Yeah. I think he's got to have a couple more Junes before you name a month after him the way Izzo got March.
Oh, Junathan, like Jonathan.
Yeah.
Shit.
We're quick here. Yeah,
if there wasn't like typos all throughout this MFer here.
That's fair.
My bad. Junathan.
So the question is how it changed in a dramatic way. And I don't know, number one, I don't know how dramatic it actually was. June is a big month for recruiting. And so this is a month where you have a lot of visits, and players have committed on those visits. And I know a lot of people have tied J Batt and his hire to this, the timing of it. And certainly the timing, is the timing just a coincidence? Was there anything there? I don't know that yet. And so I don't want to speak to it because I think that's unfair to Alan Haller. I mean, they knew they were going to have 15 million. Like, these kids who are coming in for 2026 are coming in under a rev share understanding. And maybe, once they knew the House settlement was passed or whatever, it did change some things. I don't know. But they were acting and operating as if they were going to have this money. And so I just don't know, that it made that big a difference. And if it did, and I'm wrong and I find out otherwise, we'll talk about it here, and we'll talk about how that happened. I think it has more to do with, Courtney Hawkins was on the staff before this, and he's still on the staff. I think they've got some good recruiters on the staff. And they've just had a lot of visits this month, and it's a good sign that kids they've brought in that they want are choosing this, at least say they want to come to Michigan State right now.
Next one from Spartan, is Noah Kiga going to be the most sought-after NIL jersey next year?
So
is the N silent on this? I'm scared of this. I know we've talked about this guy.
Yeah, I don't even know.
How are you supposed to say it?
I think
is the K silent?
I think the K is silent.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know that for sure.
That's
We're
interesting.
going to dance around it here.
Oh.
It will be a very popular
It will?
jersey. Don't you think?
I don't know, dude. I'm scared to say the name, let alone wear it on my back.
Yeah.
What are we talking
But
about?
kids are stupid, so high school kids will wear it. I mean, grown men shouldn't be wearing jerseys anyway. Certainly not that one.
So how do you pronounce it?
I don't want to even.
So
we're not going to.
Are we going to call him Noah then?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
You're
not
going
gonna-
to call him Noah.
We're not going to sit here testing it out and seeing if we get it right. That's not going to happen.
Can we ask Chad Latz how to pronounce it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Max next. The blue wall seems to be stacking up early. 2 articles about Bryce Underwood on the front page of the Freep this week. How many Heismans will he win? Is their NIL budget big enough to keep him there so he can win 4?
Look, he did a private workout and he talked to some people. Aiden Childs was there too. And, you're going to get hype. I think Michigan's going to lose games because of him this year, and not that's a bad thing. I think people just need to brace for it. I think being a freshman quarterback is hard. We just saw it at Michigan State last year with a sophomore who's got a load of talent. And I'm not saying Bryce Underwood.
About Michigan.
Bryce Underwood may be more talented. He may be the next John Elway. But a freshman quarterback playing at the Big Ten level is likely to make some mistakes. I mean, you saw it in the spring game. He wasn't amazing. Like, you just can't expect that much. So, yeah, I think you got to be a little careful with the hype. I didn't read the stories on him at this point because
Apparently he's gotten fat,
yeah.
which I don't blame him. I couldn't imagine you get that much money.
Yeah.
You have to eat.
Yeah, so I don't. But he gives a good interview, and some people give a good interview, and it looks like I just did a story on Kurtang that's going to go up tonight, and talked to him for a while. Well, what I mean is there was some really good stuff in there. Like he just talked about how much he's looking forward to the season, how and this opportunity, and the things he's tried to change in his game, and you can look at his body and like it's. he looks like he's going to play defensive back. He looks very different in certain ways. And I talked to his teammates about him a little bit. And there's lots of good stuff. And, by quoting people and who are all saying positive things, including himself, sometimes it comes across as completely hyping somebody, and you're just giving them a voice. So I didn't read the article. Maybe they did overhype him. But it wasn't like a columnist there. It was just the beat writer, right? I don't know. I shouldn't say it because I didn't actually read it. Yeah.
It's fair. Max, next. Couch, did you make any progress in your attempt to buy the Mining Journal while in Marquette last week? I'm still available to cover UP high school sports and was expecting a call.
We have not made progress. I have to buy the old building and move it back downtown first, so I'm closer to Baby Cakes and the Portside Inn and all those great restaurants. But once I do that, I'm gonna work on it, and you will be a call, Max.
Matt C. Graham, were you drunk on the pod Monday? You really believe there is no correlation with J Batt being hired and recruiting picking up? There was no plan or vision for football under Haller. Now MSU has shown they are serious about football hiring Batt.
17-year-olds don't know that shit. They don't even know who the AD is.
So you guys got J Batt?
Yeah, they don't know who J Batt is.
Oh, dude, Michigan State's serious. Did you hear this?
Yeah,
J Batt from Georgia Tech. Did you see what he did at Georgia Tech?
I cannot imagine.
You mean kids don't talk that way?
Yeah. I could not imagine that kids know who J Batt is for the most part.
That would be awesome.
There have been times where the separation between the athletic department and football program was so great, and I'm not talking about recently, but like the athletic people had to let the football people know they were even coming over there. Like those things operate largely separate to some degree. Now they're more together now that there's a financial component like it is. But like the idea that some 17-year-old would be like, hey, finally got rid of Haller. That's great. J Batt, now I'm committed. Like, it's just, and maybe there is a correlation in terms of the way some finances were unlocked or something that it was, some mechanism somewhere. I don't know it, though. And I have serious doubts about it. It's not to say J Batt is not a great hire for a lot of things they need to do. It's not to say he's not the right voice. It's not to say it doesn't matter to donors and fans and a lot of other people. In fact, I got a call, or not a call, I got a message today from one of our loyal listeners, our friend Libby Meyer out in Iowa. Stephen Libby.
You got a call?
It's a call. She messaged me.
So. Okay.
And she was letting me know that that she had gotten a call from somebody in the MSU athletic department asking if she was interested in purchasing football tickets since she attended a game last year, and that she had never received a phone call from the athletic department checking in like that
that's
previously.
J Batt right
so
there.
so who knows? I mean,
That's unbelievable.
That may be somebody under J Batt, or that may be somebody who's already there who said this is something we should be doing, or it may just be that Libby missed 17 calls over the last 17 years. I don't know. What I'm saying is, with the football recruiting, I mean, these kids, I'm not saying they're stupid, but kids are stupid. And no offense to Gavin, but Gavin's no longer a kid, so he can hear this. I just don't believe it. I cannot believe that they're having this conversation that any actual football recruit getting rid of Alan Haller, who is, number one, was an NFL guy himself, probably comes across really well in interviews. He's a black AD, which is, for a lot of athletes is probably inspirational too. Like I just can't imagine that, hiring J Batt from Georgia Tech, like, we're all in now. Let's go. 5 stars. I don't see it. I do not see it. Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, more of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Rube, our Thursday show presented by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at gomuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, our Thursday afternoon show presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Answering your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. And if you've got like a 4th of July party, you've got anything going on over this summer where you want to just get together on a beach, like people don't put together donuts and like a beach because you want to be a fit bod and all that. But look, donuts have fewer calories than bagels. We've been through this. So get a box of Groovy Donuts, go to the beach, if you just want to sit in the house and watch soccer or Tigers and be undisturbed, it's no better way to do it than with a box of Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com, place your order today, and if you're going to any sort of function and you bring Groovy Donuts, people will be glad you're there, even if they don't like you. Again, groovydonuts.com, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing and also in Williamston.
Some dude next. Is Javi Baez the easiest athlete to both love and hate? I would say so, because I don't want to hate him.
No.
I don't want to hate any of my players, on my favorite teams. I never want to do it.
And I wanted him to be the next Pudge Rodriguez when they signed him. That guy who came in and sort of jump-started and in some ways.
When you're on the Mets, you're giving the middle finger to fans, right? That's what got him out of there. And it's just like that's that attitude coming in, and yeah.
I mean, he was a really frustrating player for a long time. But what I do respect about Javi Baez is that he's never been the reason he was bad when the Tigers were bad. If Javi Baez was great, they weren't going to be good. And he's not keeping them down now that they are good. He's been part of the solution.
I'm just proud that he just decided to take steroids. He's like, fuck this. I'm not going to be historically bad as a hitter. I'm juicing. I don't give a shit. Give me the 80 games. Some dude. Couch, will you get together with all the other MSU writers and see who gets to ask J Batt the CMU questions by drawing the shortest straw, since we all know that you would rather die than ask it?
I don't think people are scared of it. And
would you rather die than ask?
You know who I'm going to see will ask it? And again, it's not even something I'm scared. No,
the state news.
I'm happy to do it. No, I wouldn't do that at the state news. Connor Eargood, because lots of people. Connor Eargood takes a lot of shit here, right. But I think the way he could become, be endearing to the readership is if he's the one who asks that question.
So are you going to lie to him?
Are
you going to try to entice him to act like?
No, I'll tell him. I want good things for Connor.
No, it's a great question. I would give it to you. I'm giving this question to you. You can how is that how you would do it?
There have been times where I remember
because he's gonna be like, why is he asking me to ask it?
I remember with Madeline Kenny, we were at the. It was after Michigan State lost to Duke in the Champions.
We're dropping MFers now.
Lost to Duke in the Champions Classic a year ago, and she was at the Detroit News, and she had not been around that long. And so when you're new to a beat, you're trying to figure out the tone of things, and you don't know what coaches are sensitive to, and you shouldn't care. Like, she was great early on. Sometimes fresh blood really helps with this stuff, fresh eyes on things. But she just realized how much Izzo had lost to Duke. And it's a story we've all kind of done. Everybody kind of knows it. And so she says to me, hey, is anybody – we both got to the press conference a little bit late, I think, and she said, hey, has anybody asked him why they can't beat Duke yet? And I was like, no, you should definitely do that one. And she did, and he was pissed off, and I loved it. But it fired him up, and it gave a good answer, and it was.
Was she mortified though?
No, no, she's a tough professional. She doesn't care about this stuff. She's not yeah.
All right. Some dude, Couch, will you get to, I read that. Some dude, your explanation that the extra $15 million from the House settlement is responsible for the football recruiting surge is bullshit, as they'd known about that for months. What really happened, Couch? We expect a full analysis upon return from your month-long sabbatical.
I think it is. I mean, my guess is it has more to do with the timing of the visits and the June visits and the number of. And look at when Mel Tucker's great June was a June, right? That's my guess. If there is more to it, I'll get into it and we'll figure this out. And but I would be really.
Here's Couch
surprised.
on vacation.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Scott, 12 or 16 SEC programs have always had or currently switched back to grass. Only 5 or 18 Big Ten teams have a grass field at home. During your next sit-down with Jonathan Smith, will you ask him if MSU utilizes the safety of a grass field at home in recruiting?
It's a good idea because I think it's something they ought to do, and so it's a question that should be it should be asked because I don't understand why you wouldn't use it. It was especially if you're paying a lot more for it and you have it and you're one of the few schools that does. I would do it in a school choice world in high school football. The places that still have grass, I'd be like, we care about your health. And I would try and recruit kids that way.
That's all you'd say?
Well, I mean, why not?
We care about your health, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, we
have J Batt.
Do you want to tear up your knee before you get to college? Mm-hmm. Or do you want the wear and tear on you to be so great? Do you want no? Come here.
Intense.
Yeah.
Corey Ostrom, is it too optimistic for me to think that the MSU football coaching staff issue and running back recruiting is more of a result of Tullis, Frazier, Clarizo, and Gist being good young backs that make a current recruit, think the path to playing time will be tough at MSU.
They do have a number of young guys, so there might be some of that. I think, and so those are guys, Clarizio from East Lansing's a kid that Alabama got, and they got back. They had and then went to Alabama and then flipped him back. Talk about commitments. So there might be some of that. I think also that running back is a position you can get in the portal. It's one of the diva positions. It's a position where guys, they're not getting the carries. They're going to be available. You'll be able to get talent. Michigan State's gotten a lot of good running backs, and take out Kenneth Walker, who was the ultimate find, but they've had a number of good, capable running backs in the portal, and I think it's a position you're always going to be able to get. You'd love to have it in house, but I don't think you worry about it. And again, I don't know, what the dynamic is if you get a kid of like an LJ Scott or a Cedric Irvin type. I don't think those kids are also worried about the ones who are in front of them either. If you're talking about the truly great recruits.
Corey, is it wrong for me to think that you can't label something as a July topic when you guys take July off? I kid because I love.
We'll call it a half a July topic. There we go.
It's still technically July.
Yeah, correct.
We're going to give you 2 straight weeks, possibly.
We'll see.
So something else comes up?
No, we're giving you 2 weeks. Yeah.
Roger Pepperell, how good is our 2024 football recruiting class as sophomores this season? Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's a fair question. We don't see them, right? We didn't see spring. And it wasn't an acclaimed class necessarily. So I don't know. I'll be curious to see it because I think all of these, we talk about this June group and how many of them stick around or whatever that they've gone to Michigan State. And if you can get a class to stick around that you really like, that becomes a big base of something, a base of winning. Like you go back to the D'Antonio era, 2009, 10, 11, what those recruiting classes did for that era. But there were other classes before it that were really helpful, classes early in the D'Antonio era. And so if you can get, a number of those kids to turn out and to work out, it makes a big difference. By the way, we'll be doing, I'm not going to Big Ten Media Days in Vegas. I'm not wasting my time with that shit.
I wouldn't blame you.
So we'll be doing shows here for you. We didn't, we're not going to be. So there's
Don't
that.
promote that as it's some big deal or some shit.
Well, everybody who goes there, and I'm not saying that
you probably take the equipment if you ended up having to go, right? We've done that before.
We did once.
Oh,
yeah, and it was okay, but it was.
We've done other times for like MSU basketball games on the road, and it's possible to do a show.
Oh
from
yeah,
the road.
no,
That's what I was trying to say.
We would, yes. NCAA tournaments, we do it on the road, things like that, right?
Why did they move it? They moved it to Vegas.
It's stupid. It's just dumb.
That.
The whole thing is no longer worth your time.
No.
My big problem with it is if you are going to football media days, that's fine if you want to put that in your budget, but you better be at every other football and basketball game because all of those are more important than this because they don't even the style of it isn't even. It's gotten worse and worse over the years. It's made for TV. It's all just lemming journalism. Everybody around this getting the same quotes. It used to be these round tables. I'm going behind nobody cares about this shit, but I'm gonna tell you anyway because that's half of the show. It used to be you'd have these like big round tables that you could fit like 8 or 9 people at, and you'd have a head coach and 3 players going at once, and you'd have all these different teams, and so you had to pick and choose, and because you had to pick and choose, it made the group of people around a head coach smaller. It made around a player, and you'd get these moments of one-on-one time that you could actually do a good story, do a good interview, or there'd just be a few people around. You get a really good conversation. There were some great conversations with D'Antonio back in the 2012, 13, 14 range. And when they did that, that stuff was worth it. Like, I would go for that. So it's not just the distance anymore, but it's like fans aren't that engaged yet, and it's just not put on. It doesn't fit what actually works for writing. And I apologize for anybody who just listened to that whole bit. We'll fix it.
You had it all in that whole thing right there. You had a whole couch full circle thing. It was awesome. Big John Hogg, if MSU is 9-3 with a loss to Michigan, ass kicking from Ohio State, and a loss they shouldn't take, we still happy about that?
All right, so they lose to Michigan, get their ass kicked by Ohio State, and drop a game somewhere. But they've beaten Penn State if they've. Can
I ask how bad the loss they shouldn't take would be though? Like, what does that entail?
So let's say they have an early season loss to Boston College at home.
Okay, but how? But I'm saying, like, how was they were up 14?
It's a team they should beat, and they blow a lead in the fourth quarter, and it really pisses people off.
Yeah, that would sting.
But But if they beat everybody else, obviously they beat Penn State, they get to 9 wins. I think people would sign up for that today. I mean, people hate the idea of losing to Michigan, but people would sign up for that season today because there are a lot of other quality wins.
And that's like a field goal loss versus Michigan. It's not an ass kicking.
Yeah, well, you're right. Right.
Because I would say ass kicking to Michigan, or ass kicking Ohio State, and a loss to BC, like a comeback.
I think the Michigan game is worth 2. So in other words, people would rather go 7-5 and beat Michigan than go 9-3 with a loss to Michigan. But 6-6 first 9. I don't know. Some to each their own. Some people have different opinions on that.
The podcast will be fun. Big John Hogg, Jace maybe should have come back. No. Or is it just opportunistic to say so? He fell so far out of the lottery.
There's just no value for him coming back unless he needed it to develop to last in the NBA. He's going to get an opportunity, and they're going to care about him because he's a first-round pick, and he's going to have time under a guaranteed contract to grow there. And so he doesn't need to be – if his ability to stick in the NBA was reliant on him developing more in college – then he should come back. And there's a small chance that is true. I don't think it's true, but some people have said that. And if that wound up happening, then he made a mistake. I don't see it.
Big John Hogg, Andrew McCutcheon, Hall of Famer or Hall of Very Good? It's the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's not getting in, right? No.
If it was the Basketball Hall of Fame, he'd be first ballot.
Oh, absolutely.
Hockey Hall of Fame he's in too.
Like I looked up his numbers a little bit, and it just doesn't seem like he would. And he's a really nice guy. I guess like the media would love him, but they're still not going to write him in, right? Big John Hogg for Mr. Chris Eastlick. As someone that lives in your viewing area, why does it look like your sports director wants to jump out of my screen and fight me? Dude stands like he's waiting for the ref to ring the bell.
Chris, I'll be curious what you say.
Can I say that I saw this question and I did look up the and
sports director there? Yeah,
he's definitely has a stance. I don't know if there is some sort of ailment that is making him stand that way.
Okay.
So I don't want to like goof on him because I don't know. But it does appear that he is in a stance where he's like, "What's up, dude? Like, you got something to say?" So, but he's good. I watched a couple of his videos there. Scotty Green's El Camino. What is a good player comparison for Kerr Tang's game? Haven't seen enough to really understand what we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, early on, people would say like Joshua Langford. That's what I heard from people, and I think he's a better shooter than that, just natural shooter than Langford was. But I see what people thought because there's a little bit of an old man game to him in certain areas and some mid-range stuff. I think he's a better shooter than Langford. Whether he's a better player than Langford at his peak, I don't know before the injuries. So that you're right. We really haven't seen enough. I mean, I watched him play one Moneyball game this year. I watched him play a bunch last year. I've seen him practice, but he hasn't played a lot in games. And, I am curious to see, I was talking to Jackson Kohler about this because Kohler went through a similar thing where you show up that first year and Moneyball goes okay and you think you're going to play in the Big Ten and it starts and you're like, holy crap, like my body is not built for this. And you have to really commit and remake and I think that's what Kerr Tang is going through right now, and so I'm very curious to see what the result of that is. I don't know what the comp is right now.
Scotty Green's El Camino, if you are in a parking lot and notice a $100 bill under a parked car, are you taking it or trying to find the owner of the car to return it? Well, is it like hanging out of the driver's side? Like where would it be?
So it's just
absolutely no wind that day, and it's just under the car.
Yeah, it's like right under the door. Yeah.
I'm picking it up. I'm looking around. I don't think I would try to go find an owner of a car. If I saw someone walking up to it, claiming that it was, I don't know. I'm taking it though. There's no one around.
Yeah, it's tough because it's not like a license or a wallet where you can find the person or whatever. And if you put it like under the windshield wiper, somebody else is going to come by and swipe.
Well, when we were at the Jack White concert in Grand Rapids, there was a lady that was hammered and she kept dropping her drinks everywhere, but she left like $30. It was like wet money, but I picked it up. Like I could have walked out after. She went way up, to get out. I'm not going to chase her down. Like I knew it was probably hers, but I was like, here's the fee for
being
dropping
drunk.
all these drinks and shit.
And 30 is different than 100 too, I feel like.
But if it was 100, I would have kept it too. Like she's
right.
I'm not going to hunt you down and run after you, especially if you're acting like an ass and dumping drinks.
I would pick it up and try to do good with it.
Like what?
I don't know. Feed a child.
Just one child? Dude, that's a lot of McDonald's.
Maybe 4 of them.
Sports Guy Can I feed your child? Sports Guy 1919. Why does soccer do penalty kicks from 5 feet away? Why wouldn't they back it up to actually force shooters to showcase accuracy and shot shaping? 0-0 games, or 0-0 as they say. Games decided by goalies guessing is part of the reason soccer blows.
I agree that penalty kicks, it's like 12 yards, right, is what it is. But it's not 5 feet. But it is close, and they are hard to stop. I think there should be a second, like they used to have an MLS, like these weird shootout style things where they dribbled up and the goalie could come out. It was weird. And MLS got made fun of for it. I do wish there were a couple different levels of penalties, because sometimes you're right, it is too punitive. A red card, first of all, it ruins a game that you bet on, because the game changes completely when there's one player off the field. Or if there's a penalty, it changes a game where it can go completely against the run of play. I just wish there was one other, and they do have free kicks outside the zone, but I wish there was one other level of free kick that was a little harder. It was for a lesser offense. But some of these offense, if you're denying a real goal scoring opportunity, I have no problem with the way it's set up. It's when it's some incidental handball where the ball's not actually going towards the goal, but your hand is not in a natural motion, and that winds up being a penalty, or a guy gets taken down on the edge of the box out wide left or something. That ought to be I don't know. There's got to be something else there where you're shooting from 18 or something a little different than the 12.
John Howard next. Glass panels on the front of the Tom Izzo football building keep shattering due to the heat. Does this bother you as much as it bothers me? At least 2 panes have shattered since installed, and it takes them months to fix. Looks terrible.
Well, that's why I was holding up on recruiting. Recruits were walking by and going, what the hell's going on here?
Does John work near it or something? How is he always checking it out? Or?
I didn't even know this has happened. Yeah, and I don't know why it takes them months to fix it. Maybe it's
Did
hard
they
to
not
find,
know when they were
union thing? I don't know.
Building it? The heat would shatter those things.
Yeah, they feels like that's going to be an issue that they're going to have to get fixed long term. It does not bother me to this point because I didn't know about it. So thank you, John.
Now that you know, does it bother you?
And now, in fact, I just erased the CMU question. I'm going to ask J Batt about this instead.
Smart. Original Darkman Antonio Graham, you said your wife calls you Stubbs because of your arms. Are you sure that's the only reason?
I cannot be sure. No, that's. I hope that's it.
Original Darkman Antonio. Michigan is number 6 all-time in first-round NBA draft picks, only behind the top 5 greatest hoops programs. Does this sound fathomable, or is it surprising to you?
No, it sounds completely fathomable. I mean, it's a great Michigan basketball over the decades and half century have been unbelievable teams. I mean, you just go back. I mean, just go to the stretch they had between the team that won it in '89 and the Fab Five. I mean, you're talking about Ramil Robinson, Loy Vaught, Terry Mills, John Higgins. And then you go to the Fab Five, which is 4 guys who played in the NBA for a while. I mean, that's. In a 4-year span, you're looking at 8 first-round picks, pretty much, right? I mean, it's been a storied program. It's still not a football school, but it's been a storied program. I don't think there's any question about it.
Jarrett, did you watch the new Ohio State documentary that came out? And if so, what are your thoughts? Do you remember hearing much about their scandal with MSU and Michigan's going on at the same time?
I have not watched it. And at some point I will. Maybe that'll be good over the vacation.
Is it the football program or is it a wrestling thing? I don't know.
It might be the wrestling. That's a good question. I have not seen what this is about, so I don't want to comment on it. It's a Netflix, right? I don't know anything.
Are you going to watch it on the break and?
I might. It sounds like a good thing on the treadmill. Lube it up and go.
All right, Matty B. I'm being serious when I ask this. Do you think it's a legitimate question to ask Eli Savitt during his run for AG about charging the kids in the MSU tunnel situation, or is that irrelevant to his campaign?
No, it's 100% fair, and it should be asked because it's a question of judgment, and that's an important – he's running for a job where you make a lot of decisions that affect a lot of people's lives, and he made decisions there that I think were questionable, or some people will think not, but he should still – I think it's fair game. He's a public figure, and he's running for a big job, and that is one of the more probably the most high-profile decision he's actually ever made in office. So he should absolutely be asked about it.
Manny B., who watched Kendrick Perkins audition for TV and said, yeah, we need more of that. ESPN's coverage of the NBA is terrible.
The draft coverage was awful. It really was. It was rough. It's not enough knowledgeable people. I do not want to watch Stephen A. Smith, who doesn't know shit about a lot of this stuff, just blow smoke about anything. And then,
but isn't that what he does?
Yeah, but don't put him on the draft coverage, or don't make him such a big part of it. And Kendrick Perkins, I sometimes like Kendrick Perkins. I didn't like him on the draft, and I just muted it. I just couldn't.
But why does ESPN feel that they have to put Stephen A. on there because they pay him so much money?
Well, people like Stephen A., I guess. I mean,
who?
The ratings say that people watch Stephen A. I bet you there are focus
I'm just saying
groups.
in your life. Like, in my life, I just don't know many people that are like, oh, dude, I love Stephen A.
I don't hate Stephen A. I just don't. I need him in small doses, and I don't want him on
that kind of means you hate somebody if you need him in small doses, right?
But think about this. Like, even if it was like I'm somebody you want to take in small doses, right?
I guess.
And so even our listeners, at most, when we're not taking half a month off, they get 5 hours a week, three shows.
Right.
And that if I was only getting Stephen A. for 3 shows a week rather than 6 shows a day, I could handle it a little more. I would find him less okay, geez, I've heard this already. Imagine me if I was on 10 hours a day for everybody.
Yeah.
It'd be awful.
It'd be god-awful.
Yeah.
God, sorry, I just thought about that. All right. Jimmy Backwoods next. Do you believe the Red Wings will ever make the playoffs with their current captain? Hold on.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Red Wings Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Lee.
Sorry, I needed to hear that.
They need to get there soon, but it's also a really frustrating sport because you have this hard cap, and they just haven't had any draft lottery luck, and so they haven't been able to land a true star, and it's just been, I don't know. It's a sport that it frustrates me on the side of things with the no salary cap in baseball, where you get the Dodgers can spend what they do, and some teams just don't have that kind of money. But the other side of that is the true hard cap, where there's just no wiggle room and it's hard to build something. I do not like the setup in the NHL, and I know they have to do that because there are limitations to how much money they actually have.
John Johnson next. Graham, you're guilty of doing to Jay what others do to you. You can clearly tell when you're not interested in what he's saying. Causes Jay to speed up his story. I was enjoying his rant about water bottles. God forbid he cuts 5 minutes into you answering the same 3 fucking questions about an AD 60 times.
That's well said, John.
See, I have a theory? Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I think you only like my stories that involve me being embarrassed. Because I've been doing these clips for YouTube, right? And they're shorter clips. And it was one where I'm telling the John Daly story, and I played it for Couch because I wanted him to see what they would look like and get his opinion. He's laughing his ass off at that, right? So, and then when I tell a story about water and I'm at a concert and I'm having a great time, I'm on MGs, you're like, yeah, whatever. So that was my theory. I just think you need me to be embarrassed.
I think you have
understandable.
I think you have it wrong. I actually enjoy all your stories and want to always be attentive. When I don't look like I'm attentive or I'm not attentive, it's not because I'm not interested. It's something else that's frazzled me. And Jason knows how this works.
Yes.
If there's anything else that I think is technically going wrong with the show, or I need to, or sometimes it'll be I know there's a question coming up or a take that I don't actually have information on that I need to look something up quickly. And so I use a moment where I'm not talking to try to find something. And I hate when I have to do that sometimes when Jason's telling a story, but sometimes that's the moment to do it. So that's usually when it happens. Or if anything else is frazzling.
That's why we can't have the TV on in there.
Yeah.
The Couch would get so distracted.
Or if my wife texts me and says I'm listening right now, that's I don't even know, it's.
You got to put the phone face down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but sometimes people notify. I mean, yeah. But yeah.
I just think that sometimes you just shit on my story because I'm not getting goofed on, which is understandable.
You do not tell many bad stories. I mean, the whole reason for the story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company, is my oatmeal story, which was awful. But really, we would not have even come up with that if you didn't tell such great stories. and we didn't have a way to.
Well, sometimes I get so passionate about dumb things like that, of the under 1% that we have to do all these things that it's not a great story. It's just me ranting,
Yeah.
Just let me go for 2 minutes. I end up getting winded. I forget what I'm saying. So, if I just go on a rant, just know it's going to be over soon. I'm not going to go on for 10 minutes.
And there are occasional times that I'm actually looking up like specials at Midtown while he's talking. It's like, I'm going to go into the live read at Midtown Brewing Company, which is,
Dude, I zone when you talk certain times. Like, it's not, it's just your voice and everything. It's the same kind of subject or topic, and I know when I can zone out. So I do it too. I get it.
I zone when I talk myself.
But when you're telling a story, there's no way I'm missing a second, because there's always a fucking morsel that Couch tells that you're just like, wait, what? Like all of a sudden they're going to adopt a child now or something, like this 17-year-old they're buying a volleyball net for. I mean, like, it's.
I'm going to feed 4 children.
I would never not listen to a Couch story. Now, if he's going to tell me about Jonathan Smith and how we should give him 1 more year, you got to give him at least 2. Like, if he goes on for 10 minutes, no offense, like after about 5, I'm going deep.
Understood.
Yeah. Jebediah, did Jason hit the wrong ad button again to make random ads pop up when the show is live on YouTube? Or is that YouTube just being ass again? No, that is me. I'm trying things out with our YouTube channel before the football season. We would like to generate some sort of other revenue from YouTube, so I'm testing things out. If it's ass, we can change it. I'm not trying to annoy you. We appreciate anyone listening.
We are looking to uptick our YouTube audience. It's good. We like it. It's a good.
We never tell anybody to subscribe or hit the like button. I mean, if you guys want to, I don't know.
But that is helpful. We would appreciate it. But you don't. But
it would help us greatly.
But we also appreciate any way and most people consume us through a podcast, and we love that too. So we don't want anybody to be like, fuck. They really,
and it will definitely not happen the way it happened on Spreaker on the podcast app, where it just aired every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That was another mistake. Like, to try these things out, you have to just, trial by error when you have 2 of us most of the time. Carl, next. Couch, do you have any more knee slappers today? On Monday's show, Graham asked Jason, did you hear that hilarious story about Johnny Bacon and the Edmund Fitzgerald? Jason, no. Graham, he had a deadline to make for his book about the Edmund Fitzgerald and wasn't replying to tweets.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're listening to this show for my ability to tell stories, it's going to be long. I mean, just imagine being my wife. I mean, like, this is my ability to tell a story. Like, I've got something. It's Carl, be grateful you're not her.
Man, that was a great story. Wasn't replying to tweets. What a book, by the way.
That is the worst thing that happens to me, though. It's when I think something's worth the story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And I begin to tell it, and almost instantly, I can tell when I'm telling a bad story or something that's not that interesting. But sometimes I have no way out. You just have to finish it. And it sucks. It's like one of my great weaknesses in life, and I have many.
Jake Hawkins next. What would be a reasonable contract that you feel should be offered to Tarek Scubal? I say 6 years between $250 and $255 with a 7th-year option at $45 million. What does that average out per year?
So you're looking at, like,
I don't do math.
It's not enough, because you're looking at, like,
need $50 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what's going to have to happen.
Yeah. And whether it needs
I can't do the math, but that looks low.
Yeah, so 7 years, $350
easily.
Yeah. It sucks.
I think Scott Boras would just walk out if you told him, like, 6 years.
And what's reasonable is what the market dictates. It's a non-salary cap sport, so it's you have to choose, and you're packing the park, and here's the thing, if they don't get Tarek Scubal, if they spend 2 more years with him on the team and they win a World Series too, that would be amazing. If they win a World Series in part because they have him, and then they lose him, I think people will be able to deal with that, because the last group didn't get that done, right? And so if you get 3 playoff runs out of him and a World Series somewhere in there, and the way the amazing playoff room happened, like, people
we get a World Series, yeah,
right. People feel it differently, but
sure.
And then say he's making, and the real key to me is that if the Tigers don't match, say the Dodgers come up with some just obscene amount of money, and the Tigers like, we don't feel that's, as long as the money the Tigers were prepared to spend on Tarek Scubal goes into the roster, I don't have as big a problem with it. If you want to take, if you're talking about, say he costs $50 million a year, and you're willing to spend that, and it might be more, but say it's $50 million a year. I just want, and you're willing to spend that. Just make sure you're putting $50 million into the roster. If it's 2 $25 million a year guys on long-term contracts, I'm great with that.
But Illich is never going to come out and say that.
Well, They should.
I just want to know what our offer is going to be. Is it going to be a gigantic low ball? Listen, if like you said, if the Dodgers offer him $50 million over 10 years, a $500 million contract, do you really want to wrap yourself up in something like that? But what was our offer?
They did come out and said what they offered Bregman, which leads me to believe that they will be somewhat transparent about the Scubal offer, because I know they
have to be.
They will understand that this is like the topic for multiple years, and so the only way it doesn't happen is if they trade him, after this season or something like that. Here's a question for you, Jason. We talk about this World Series, and so say they go out this offseason or this trade deadline, get a bat, get a right-handed bat, get another starting pitcher. Say they win a World Series this year with Tarek Scubal, and he's got a year left, because this would be the offseason to trade him. And you don't think at this point it's going to be damn near impossible with Boris and what the Dodgers are going to come up with, and you've won your World Series. I would be inclined at that point. I think that changes the equation. If you don't win a World Series, I think more likely you've got this ace for another year with a team that should be in the playoffs. You want to run it back. But if you were to win one, I would be inclined to move him this offseason and try and get a haul for him while you still could.
But what kind of haul would you get for a guy on a short-term deal that you're going to have to, or you might get outbid for? So you might not get the haul that you were expecting. Now, obviously, claiming a World Series championship, but I want to be good for a decade. I want to be, I just don't want to be one of these flash in the pan for 5 years. Yes, World Series, absolutely. How would you turn it down? But I just don't want it to be like the Marlins thing. Then we just start selling people. Guys,
no, they won't be that. But if you trade him to the Dodgers, or you trade him to a team that might be willing to re-sign him, and that's sort of that might be the best way to do it. You trade him to a huge market club, and I don't know if that would be. I'm just throwing out random shit.
Next one from the Hawk. Why do we think the following former MSU basketball players who were drafted in the NBA didn't work out? Mateen Cleaves, Marcus Taylor, Maurice Ager, Shannon Brown, Adrian Payne, Brandon Dawson, and Denzel Valentine.
Different reasons for all of them. Cleaves, the injury that happened starting at that national championship game, he was never back from. He was too heavy. I still think if he went in healthy, and I guess the injury that started his foot going into that year. But if Cleaves had been healthy and fit, I still think he's a guy who could have had a career more as a journeyman and lasted. He wasn't a great shooter. He just wasn't built for the NBA. He wasn't the athlete he was in high school after the rollover injury. Marcus Taylor was just not an NBA player yet. And I don't know if he would have been. If he had come back for a year or two, he would have been a first-round pick, and back then that was guaranteed money. There was no guaranteed money in the second round. That he was taking it all, I think, was a bit of a favor with Flip Saunders in Minnesota as Izzo's friend. Maurice Ager, I thought he was a guy who would be a wing and stick a little longer than he did. Shannon Brown stuck for a while, though. Shannon Brown played for a long time. How long do you want people? I mean, Shannon Brown was on really good Lakers teams and played a role. Adrian Payne, he didn't. I mean, it was part of the reason it took him a long time to be great, despite a lot of athletic gifts at Michigan State, is he just didn't process things really quickly on the court, and that was a problem for him. Brandon Dawson was 6'6", should have been a tight end or defensive end, and never could dribble or shoot, right? I mean, if he was 6'9", he would have been a force as a forward in the NBA, but he's too short. And Denzel Valentine, part of it was health. I thought Denzel Valentine would be a good NBA player because he was a 45% three-point shooter as a senior. He was 6'5". I thought he'd be a good wing, and he had some years where, but he had some injuries, and he wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, and I think the injuries really bit him, and then he wasn't quite the shooter I thought he was going to be at the next level.
Fart Soup next. What's more sexual sounding, listening to porn with your eyes closed or listening to Couch's player analysis from Moneyball?
Let me tell you about Kurt hear your voice in my head when I take a shit. Absolutely. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates. Really good penis. It's close, man. It's close. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Especially, at least I don't have to read them. Like it's not like a book on tape, That would be brutal.
Yeah, finally, Fart Soup to end it here. Can you evaluate Jason's thighs right here, right now?
Jason, you throw your thighs up in the air so I can see them. Oh, he's got.
Like the Rockettes.
Yeah, no, you've got.
Hold on. You didn't see me pose, bro. Come on. Check that out.
Oh, yeah. That's a good thigh.
Yeah,
thighs are not his issue. The rest of the athleticism is a problem.
Oh, God, I got tits. It's great.
Yeah, but, if Marcus Bingham had Jason's thighs, he'd be in the NBA right now. There's zero
You don't want my knees. I've had like 5 surgeries.
Zero question about that.
Yeah.
We appreciate all of you. We always do, even when we're off.
Oh, my God, that hurt. Oh, shit.
Jason might need the time now. We'll be back. It's like, July 14th. It'll go by, and you'll be so glad I'm not around, and you might miss the Rube. But we do appreciate you. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Again, groovydonuts.com, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday for any occasion, including just wanting a donut yourself. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Great place for a date night. And, of course, our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers Eye Casino and Sportsbook. By the time we come back, I think their new Eye Casino and Sportsbook will be up, and we'll be able to promote it and play around with it. It'll be fun. Be safe. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.